Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video.
My mother in law gave me and my husband a trip to Paris last month on our anniversary. It was the most expensive and most thoughtful we've received, and I was beyond grateful to her for that. It was extra special because both my husband and I work corporate jobs and rarely get time to just take it easy and relax. The few times we have gone out, it's on the weekends and somewhere within 6 hours of traveling. We're both workaholics, and our life is pretty much about working 6 days a week and planning dates on Sundays. So, the sudden gift of a trip to Paris was something that neither of us would propose for a long while. And what mother in law did was an unavoidable push for us to put a stop on our working lives and let our bodies and minds relax a little. So, of course, I was grateful to her for pushing us into taking some time off. Even though I knew my body needed this break and proper sleep, I was too ambitious to do anything about it. Anyway, we were to leave for Paris last week. I had everything packed and ready to go while my husband packed on the last night before we had to leave. He was busy running around the house and tracking down his things to shove them all in the suitcase, and I was scrolling Netflix looking for something to watch. That's when I received a call from mother in law. I answered on the second ring, thinking she must be calling to check in on us. Although she did ask me if we are packed or not and other general questions about passport and tickets, the bomb she dropped at the end was the real reason why she called us that late into the night. She told me that she has a request and wants me to promise her I'd help her out. Was I grateful to her? Yes. Was I dumb enough to promise something I don't know about? No. So I told her I'd help her out if it's within my capabilities, and she should tell me what's going on instead of asking me to make promises that, let's be honest, I probably wouldn't be able to keep. After a little hesitation, she asked me if I could take her three stepkids with me to Paris. She said she had taken care of everything, the tickets and the hotel bookings. She even said she'd pay for all the minor expenses while traveling and is willing to compensate us for our time in looking after the kids. They were all teenagers and are quite something to look after. I put the phone on speaker and asked my husband to listen in on our conversation. After we heard her out, my husband shook his head to tell me he isn't going to be responsible for three kids. We've only met once or twice, especially in a foreign place. And I was thinking along the same lines. No matter what mother in law has done for her, this is something that requires being responsible and careful all the time. This trip was supposed to be our relaxing period where we let go of all our worries and just enjoyed some time away from work. Taking three kids would be like exchanging our corporate job with babysitting, and neither of us want that. On top of that, my husband and I have discussed the topic of kids in the past, and we don't want any. So, asking us to be temporary parents isn't the best move on mother in law's part. So I told her that I couldn't help her with her request. I told her all the reasons why not and tried to explain to her how taking responsibility for three kids overseas isn't something we're ready for. From the few times we've met them, we have come to know how uninterested they are in anything related to family or people above the age of 25, and I could guarantee they will not listen to a single thing we'd say. So, no, I can't put myself in a situation that's sure to turn into a disaster. But my mother in law got angry with us. She said that as someone who was the reason we had this opportunity, we should be grateful, and taking her stepkids with us is the least we could do. She said that she only asks us this because lately she couldn't get even a second to herself to rest and wants a few nights away from all her responsibilities. At this, I suggested to her that maybe she should send them away to another state with their father, but she argued back, saying she wants some alone time with her husband. So I asked her, why can't she just send them over to their friend's house for sleepovers or leave them alone at home while her husband and she went on a mini vacation? But she didn't want to come back and deal with the destroyed house, and also said her husband isn't willing to leave the youngest daughter, who's 13, behind. But tagging them with us just so she could wash her hands from her responsibility isn't something I was willing to go with, and I told her so. That only enraged her more, and she said that if we can't take the kids with us, then she wants us to refund the trip because she's taking her gift back. It's like the kids were the condition attached to this gift, and that annoyed me. If her plan was this all along, then she should have told this sooner, not at the last moment. The tickets were also non refundable, and there's no way my husband and I are going to pay her back for the whole trip. We didn't ask for this. She didn't take our consent and threw this on us at the last moment. So I refused to pay her back and told her if she wants a refund, she can try and cancel the whole thing. But we all know that's impossible now. After I hung up on her, I asked my husband what we should do now, and he said that we might as well go. He said it's not our fault that she put a condition on her gift, and as cancellation is impossible, we might as well use the vacation package. I was debating whether or not it's right to go now that we know the truth of her plan, but he convinced me in the end, and we boarded our flights without any complications. Now, I'm in Paris and enjoying dozens of sights and desserts here, all the while feeling a little guilty. I want to ask this subreddit if I'm an a hole for not helping out mother in law and still taking her gift. We came back safely a few days back, and I wanted to call my mother in law and see if she's still mad with us, but my husband told me I shouldn't bother as it wasn't our fault that she pulled a trick on us. Also, a lot of you are saying we were in the right and we don't need to apologize or pay her back for what she did. So I didn't call her and stayed put. That was until she called me and told me that I've gone and done it this time. She was really annoyed and called me names just for not paying her back. I was never in a great relationship with my mother in law as we rarely talked, and our occasional chats were always on holidays or celebratory occasions. I never knew she had it in her to be so rude, but she called me a gold digger and said she knew that I wasn't the right woman for her son. She went as far as to blame me for making her son do what I want, and even said that I must be the one who refused to take the kids, even when her son wanted to. At that point, I had had enough of her filthy accusations and told her to shut her mouth. I made it very clear to her how her son was the first one to say no, and even if he hadn't, I would have still done the same thing. I also told her that her calls or texts are no longer welcome in my life, and if she doesn't learn how to respect other people, I don't want her anywhere near my house or my husband. Then I hung up on her. I'm still mad that she would rage on me without any provocation and would go to such lengths just because we ruined her plan. So I told my husband about the call and the things mother in law said to me. He was as shocked as me after hearing the accusations and tried to come up with excuses for her behavior. He was saying she must have been very moody lately or hitting menopause, and that's why she's being extra reactive towards small things. That just annoyed me even more because no matter what state she was in, nothing gives her the right to go off on me and insult my whole existence just because I refused to go along with her plan and accept her request. I also told my husband that I'm never letting her in this house or in my life unless she genuinely apologizes for her behavior, and he has to choose between me and his mother. I told him I don't mind if he wants to have a relationship with her outside of this house, but I am not compromising just so he could visit her on holidays and leave me alone. I told him he has to choose who's his priority here and take a side. But he is refusing to make a decision and saying I'm being unreasonable here. He asked me to give mother in law some time because he's sure she'd come to her senses and apologize soon. Well, let's see what happens in the next week because if she doesn't apologize, I'm cutting her off completely. Guess who didn't call me back to say sorry? Yes, my dearly loved mother in law, and my husband is still blaming her behavior on mood swings. So I put my foot down and made him choose between us. And after fighting with me for about 2 whole days, he finally said he'll prioritize me. So now we're going no contact with mother in law. I don't need people who play tricks to get their way in life, and I'm sure we're better off without her. I'll update here if she ever apologizes to me, but I'm calling it now that she wouldn't. NTA, the trip was an anniversary gift, and whether you took the kids or not, you shouldn't have to refund the money for that trip to mother in law. She's the a-hole here for playing games. NTA, if my mother in law did something like this, I'd go on the trip and then send pics to her just so she knows how happy I am. People like her deserve to be jealous, and I bet you $1,000 she'd do something like this again. My husband, 40 male, and I, 40 female, have 2 kids, 13 male and 13 female. Our children go to a private school and have the same teacher for a few classes, including algebra. On Monday, I was at home when I got a call from my children's school. It was their algebra teacher. He told me about an assignment in the class. The kids had to write 25-word problems relating to their last unit and an answer key. It counted as a test, but they were given a week and a half for the project. He told me that my son was looking for his assignment and couldn't find it and got really upset. The assignment was handwritten. They don't use Chromebooks in math because it is impractical. He then said he was reading my daughter's assignment and read me some of the questions she wrote. All of the word problems were about sports, including naming real athletes in some of them. My son and his friends are the types of boys who make sports their whole personality. From clothes to video games they play, my son's room is full of sports posters. I can't think of the last time he initiated a conversation to me that did not involve sports. My daughter is the polar opposite. She hates sports. She has more varied interests like social media and fashion, but sports is not one of them. He then asked me why my daughter's name was on that assignment. He then sent me a PDF of the assignment that was turned in. When my kids got home, I asked them to sit in the living room with me. I asked them how school went. I then told them that their math teacher had called me. I asked my daughter about the assignment and what types of problems she wrote. She struggled. I asked my son, and as expected, he was trying to remember some examples, and the ones he gave was similar to what was on the PDF. I then showed my kids this, and my daughter admitted to erasing my son's name and putting her own because she didn't do it. And if she had read his problems, she would have seen there was no way she could have gotten away with writing them. But she admitted to not even reading his. I then let my son go, and he looked so relieved knowing that he wasn't going to fail this assignment. I told my daughter I would be taking her phone away as I felt it was distracting her from schoolwork. She refused to give it to me. I then told her if she didn't give me her phone, she wouldn't be going to Disney with us in December, which is an annual tradition. She gave it to me, and I saw her and her friends were texting each other, test answers, and cheating together. I called the parents of the other girls, and the school decided to give the girls a week suspension and will now closely monitor them. My daughter now says her friends won't speak to her, and I ruined her friendships. I then got a phone call from my mom about this, where she said, "It's middle school, cheating doesn't matter," and told me I was too harsh on her and defended her. But husband is on my side. AITA? NTA. Cheating always matters. Condoning it now would have just compounded the problem. The positive thing is that It's middle school. Cheating doesn't matter, meaning it won't ruin her high school GPA and risk her not getting into the college of her choice. It's not college where cheating could get her kicked out of school. No, the result is that the friends she was cheating with aren't her friends anymore. That seems like a positive outcome. NTA, she is experiencing the consequences of her bad choices, so of course she isn't happy about it. She stole from her brother, lied about it by putting her name on his work, and there's no telling how many assignments she and her friends have cheated on. She knew what she was doing was wrong, which is why she tried to hide it. You'd be remiss as a parent if you didn't give her a consequence for this behavior. The punishment fits the crime. She used her phone to cheat, and now she doesn't have a phone. A phone is a privilege, not a right. Your daughter abused the privilege, so it's only right that she should lose it. I, 17 female, have 6 biological siblings, 5 half siblings, 1 full on my mom's side, and I'm the youngest. While on my dad has 5 biological daughters and 1 stepchild. I'm not really in communication with his other biological children, so they don't have anything to do with this story. The one I'm referring to is his stepchild, who I'll call O. Okay. So my mom's birthday was 3 days ago, and for her birthday, I went a little big. I've been saving up for a while and used that money to buy 7 gold necklaces. The necklaces were customarily engraved with our names. My mom said mom, and a number 1 to 6 for my mom's 6 kids because we have a running joke where we call each other by the number we were born. Example, hey, 4, have you seen my brush? Or something like that. 2 days ago, me and my sister, Kay, went to our dad's house since I was out of school that day and he had wanted to see us. When we arrived, we just chilled normally and did the stuff we usually do. The problem began when O got home from school. She had noticed my sister and I had matching necklaces and asked what they were for and if she could see them. I told her that I had gotten them for my siblings and my mother as a gift, and she asked what the number was for, and I explained that as well. O looked excited and then asked where hers was. Now, this is where I might be the a-hole. I told her that I didn't get her one since this was something related to my mom and that it would be weird if she had one because she wasn't my mother's kid. O had gotten upset at that and walked away. I had shrugged, thinking that she was just upset and would get over it because it wasn't a big deal, so we just continued what we were doing. I honestly didn't think it was a big deal since O did eventually come out of her room to chill with us and didn't say anything else about it. That was until her mother came home. I don't know when she told her mom, probably when she was in her room, but she did, and her mom was upset. She thought I was purposely excluding my stepsister and wanted to know why. I tried to explain that I wasn't and that the necklaces were a thoughtful gift. She wasn't hearing it and asked that we, Kay and I, not wear the necklaces while visiting our father. Which I said hell no to, because these necklaces were something I put a lot of time and thought into. We ended up arguing for a while until she relented because my dad told her to stop being childish. I guess she was tired from work or something because she told my dad to talk to me and walked off. My dad told me I could wear my necklace if I wanted to while visiting him and that he'd deal with her and my stepsister if they tried to make a fuss about it again. On the way home, my older sister told me I shouldn't have said it that way, but that I was right. So that had me thinking that I could have been the a-hole. 1. I saw a lot of questions about how old O is, and she's 12. 2. We weren't raised together. She doesn't even really live with my dad and her mom. I don't know the reason why, but she lives with her grandmother in Queens. 3. I didn't get necklaces for my dad's other children for the same reason. I didn't get one for O. Also, because I have literally no contact with them at all. 4. O might actually be closer to my dad than my sister and I are, with how much time they spend together. My sister and I barely visit my dad due to how far away he lives from us. O is much closer, even though she lives with her grandmother and they have a good relationship. My dad's a huge nerd, and O and him have a lot in common. We actually talked about it today. This is really out of the ordinary for my stepmom. Like, I really like her as a person, and she is a good person. We talked and found out O exaggerated when she talked to her mom, making it sound like I really was excluding her because she was hurt with how I said it. I had a one on one with O, and we're good now. She understands that she won't be getting a necklace and I won't be wearing mine less, but her mom got her a bracelet making kit and we made matching bracelets for ourselves, my dad, her mom, and my sister as something we have together. NTA, she is your stepsister and isn't related to your mom or you. I can picture your stepmom demanding that her daughter be included in all the things you all do as a family with your mom, because your stepsister isn't included.